Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to our channel. We have gotten quite a bit of questions in response to our legacy voicecast movement, especially for why the voicecast was changed the way it was. So in this video, we will be debunking fan speculations as to why the voicecast changed for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let's get started. The reason Operation Reunion is asking for a DLC option is because the new voice cast should not be removed or replaced. Rather, they should be joined by the Advent Children Crisis Core voice cast, aka the Legacy voice cast. DLC would be the best option because it would not delay the game, as DLC is released after games, so there's no rush to get it out by March 3rd, 2020. And there is also no rush to force the original voice actors back into the game so far into production with the DLC option. And it'll also give the new cast a chance to be in the remake. A common question that is asked regarding this petition is, why would Square Enix bother revoicing the entire game for a DLC option? Well, it seems that they already did. The first time with the Legacy voice cast, and the second time with the new voice actors. After attending a private invite-only press conference for Square Enix at the 2019 E3 conference, Maximilian Dood made a video revealing what he could share with everyone regarding the demo and the voice actors. In the video, he states that they already recorded the entire game with the Legacy voice cast. Here, check it out.
So it's that was expensive. Yeah, they pretty much voice overed the whole game and then did it all over again. Like at some point it just, I guess they thought it wasn't working and they hired completely new voice actors, and yeah.
Square Enix took the time, money, and energy to scrap the original voice recording and start all over with a new cast. Max speculated that it was, and I quote, "I guess they thought it wasn't working," which leaves fans only creating scenarios as to why the voice actors changed. So going from what Max said into fan speculation number 1, the voices didn't match the characters. If the producers didn't like the original voices for the English characters, why did they have them voice the characters for every vocal performance of the Final Fantasy VII franchise and other projects? That's 14 titles in the span of 17 years. There have been plenty of opportunities to replace the voice actors who didn't fit the characters. So why now with the remake? They already had shown the Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer with Burton and Billingsley in 2015, so why the change now? Square Enix, after working hard and searching for the perfect voices to fit the English-speaking characters, came out with the Advent Children cast and said, "This is what the characters sound like in English." And they have agreed on the characters' voices by having them return for every title that had voice acting. The voice directors know the spirit of the characters and what they need to sound like. Now, that doesn't mean they haven't changed voice actors in the past. We can see how often Aerith's voice actresses changed over the years from Mandy Moore to Mina Servari and to Andrea Bowen. That alone shows that in the 17 years, they were willing to change the voices of the characters that didn't match. Now, we don't know exactly why Christy Carlson Romano left after Kingdom Hearts and Advent Children, but the voice director clearly made sure Yuffie's voice sounded almost the exact same.
All injured have been moved to the transports.
Okay, let's get out of here! Just remember to keep on guard until you're clear of the red zone. We're all done here. How about you?
Cloud, I brought you materia. Whoa! Hey, watch it! That Cloud's a royal pain in the ass, like always.
The story with Aerith's voice actresses could be covered in an entire video by itself, but it seems that the fans' reaction with the voice actors from Advent Children and Kingdom Hearts 2 was less than favorable. There have been no official statements as to why the voice actresses changed to Andrea Bowen in Crisis Core and from other appearances in other projects, but it would be safe to say that it was the fan reception of the voice. It seems Square Enix is trying to keep up with the same concept for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is why it is clear Cody Christian is being directed to sound similar to Steve Burton. So why not keep the original voice actor and change the voice direction? Here are some instances in which Cody Christian actually sounds similar to Steve Burton. Check it out.
I heard you're having second thoughts. Get going.
Why have a different voice actor sound exactly the same as the original actor when you already could have had the original actor to begin with? Many fans on the internet say it was refreshing to hear Cody Christian say "you bastard" at the end of the E3 trailer, and many state Steve Burton is incapable of that type of emotion. Let's listen to the scene from Final Fantasy VII Remake.
You bastard! Yeah!
Is Burton truly incapable of expressing the emotion like Cody Christian? Let's look at a clip from General Hospital in which Burton also angrily curses to see if he's able to muster the same emotion that Cody Christian did.
Not gonna let Lucky, who turned his back on— Shut up!
You keep saying that you're a man, that you want to live on your own, but you're acting like a little bitch!
And yes, there are always the arguments stating that Steve Burton was monotoned and lacking emotion as an actor, but Burton's performance of a depressed, emotional Cloud in Advent Children is certainly due to the trauma his character went through and should not be used to judge his ability to sound more youthful. Here's his voice from Crisis Core.
Hold on. I'll get everyone. Hey, Zach. You know, I've never seen you use that. Sephiroth!
Now, for a small side speculation, fans are trying to reason with the sudden voice actor change and are trying to find comfort in the fact that Katase claims, well, according to Maximilian Dude anyway, that Square will still use the original voice actors in side projects like Dissidia and Kingdom Hearts. But that means Square Enix is perfectly content with their voices as the characters, so why only making this vocal change for the remake and only to the English version? The Japanese cast has always remained unchanged. After putting 14 to 17 years into a character, the voice actors would have polished and perfected their performance, and they know their characters and their quirks better than the newer voice actors. The original voice actors have voiced the characters before the events of Final Fantasy VII and after the events of Final Fantasy VII, so they have a complete idea of how the characters should be portrayed in the remake, which is the core of the entire franchise. They wouldn't be blindly reading the script, as they have been directed by Square Enix for more than a decade to shape them into the ideal characters for the remake. Why go through all that training and molding them for the remake just to put them on side projects? People do say the original Final Fantasy VII didn't have voice actors, so it wouldn't matter who voiced them, which is technically correct, but after searching hard for the voices to carry on their franchise for 17 years, they brandished the legacy voice cast as the voices for the Final Fantasy VII characters. The voice directors used the original Final Fantasy VII and the lore behind it to carefully choose each voice actor to fit the characters and their personalities. By simply saying they will be kept for side projects, again, that just states that the voices fit the characters and the change wasn't necessary. Now, let's move on to fan speculation number 2. They wanted a more natural sounding character instead of the anime sounding ones. Now, don't forget, the Advent Children and the English version of the compilation was actually a dub of the Japanese version, so dialogue was forced to fit at times due to localization writing. Not exactly the actor's fault, so the smoking gun is in the hands of Square Enix localization department. It is shown that in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's actually going to be motion captured, as we can see by the 2019 E3 trailer, and it will be fitting to the lips, so no more dubbing, no more rushing, and no more interestingly worded script writing. That alone would make the dialogue smoother, and not as many problems for localization. We can even see and hear George Newbern using motion capture as seen in the video game Injustice: Gods Among Men. His voice is natural and smooth, and there's no need to rush the script out since the lips are adjusted to his words.
I knew they'd pull you over eventually. You don't belong here. My obligations don't end at the borders of my dimension. I am this world's savior. I protect it. That's what's happening out there? Protection? Disobedient children will be punished. Children? We're not gods. We don't decide who lives and who dies.
Decision is mine! It became mine when Joker turned me into a weapon of mass destruction!
I know what you lost.
And you judge me? After I've killed you, I'll bring Lois here. When she sees how I've perfected this world, she'll be afraid and disgusted. She'll be alive! Lois's death doesn't
He
just—
stole her from me!
And you stole this planet's freedom! It's time to give it back.
Now think about how hard dubbing English from Japanese actually is. Most of the highly rated games that are produced in America have pretty darn good voice acting. Would that be because it was made for the English language? Think about BioShock and its prequels and sequels. Think about The Last of Us, and don't forget Devil May Cry 5. The acting was natural and fluid. Why? Because it was created around the English language. The Final Fantasy VII franchise was created around the Japanese language, and English and Japanese are not in the same language family. Most of the voice cast chosen for Advent Children are also screen actors, and started off as screen actors, so not only can they give more natural performances, they also know how to control their expressions to fit the characters if need be. Those who are not screen actors have crafted their profession as voice actors and have the tools, talents, and vast amount of experience to change their voice tone and even accommodate their faces. So why is Square Enix not giving them the chance and instead replacing them with actors who have no voice acting experience? Now this leads to fan speculation number 3. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is non-canon to the compilation, and they simply wanted a fresh start. Now, information whether the Final Fantasy VII Remake is canon or quote non-canon won't be covered in this video, though it is something that has many theories attached to it. For the purpose of this video, we will entertain the theory that it is non-canon, meaning it is not in the same world or universe as Final Fantasy VII and its compilations, which, since it is a remake of the original, it's pretty canon. For the first part, the argument is that the voice actors changed because the Final Fantasy VII Remake is from a different universe or timeline, and the voices have to be different. Let's say that for a moment that was the case. It would be believable if both language voice casts were replaced, but Japan is keeping the same voice cast from Advent Children, Crisis Core, and the rest of the projects, while only the English version is getting the replacements. Is only the English version of the Final Fantasy VII Remake non-canon then? The retention of the Japanese voice cast alone shows that it would be perfectly acceptable to have the English original voice cast return to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Square Enix is keeping the continuity of their voice cast throughout the Japanese version of the compilation, including the remake, even with the fan argument that the remake is non-canon to the compilation. It is clear that the remake does not need a different set of voices. So the argument that the remake is non-canon is not a tangible or probable reason for the English voice cast to be replaced. Now, if Japan was to also recast the voices for the remake for the Japanese version, it would make this argument perfectly acceptable, but as for now, this argument is invalid. The second part of this fan speculation is that Katase wanted a fresh start for the voices for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Katase did say in an interview released by Square Enix that in the remake, we are giving voice to the original Final Fantasy VII for the first time. By bringing in a new generation of actors, we hope to provide the best experience for the original fans and the new players. Now, if that is the case, then why is the English version the only one to have this change? What about the new players of the franchise in Japan? Wouldn't they want to give their new generations of gamers the same experience by bringing in Hollywood screen actors and actresses to replace the professional voice actors, just like they did with the English version? For Square to keep the same Japanese voice actors for the past 16 to 18 years, they are stating that they are actually not looking for a fresh start to the game and are perfectly content with keeping the compilation voice actors. And this isn't technically the first time they had voice scenes or segments from the original Final Fantasy VII. In fact, the last voice in Crisis Core is actually Steve Burton as Cloud Strife starting the bombing mission of the original Final Fantasy VII. Not only that, it was George Newbern, Rick Gomez, and Steve Burton's voice in Crisis Core voicing the Nibelheim scenes, which are also in the original Final Fantasy VII, regardless of Genesis' presence in the title. So for Square to say they never voiced Final Fantasy VII before, well, that's debatable. Now let's move on to fan speculation number 4. The voice actors are too old to voice the characters and are also too old to continue to be in the remake and for every installment. Takahiro Sakurai, Cloud's Japanese voice actor, is 45. Steve Burton is 49. Toshiyuki Morikawa, Sephiroth's Japanese actor, is 52 years old. George Newbern is 54. Keiji Fujiwara, Reno's Japanese voice actor, is 54. Quentin Flynn, the English voice actor, is also 54. Ayumi Ito and Rachel Leigh Cook, Tifa's voice actresses, are both 39. The two casts have always been roughly around the same age, so clearly the age of the voice actors does not matter for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. The argument for them being too old is inadmissible because of the Japanese voice cast, who are in their late 40s and 50s, and being casted in the Final Fantasy Remake also. You also don't technically choose voice actors for their age or looks, you choose them for their talent. Now, some will argue Square was looking for younger voices because the characters are younger than Advent Children. That makes no sense, because Burton and Newbern appeared in Crisis Core, which takes place 5 to 7 years before Final Fantasy VII. In Crisis Core, Cloud was only 16 and Sephiroth was in his 20s. Steve Bloom even voiced a younger Vincent Valentine during a flashback from his time as a Turk in Dirge of Cerberus. All of the voice actors played the characters in their younger years before Final Fantasy VII, invalidating this argument that they needed younger voices. Also, bear in mind, again, the same Japanese voice actors who provided their voices in Crisis Core and Advent Children are still voicing the characters in the remake, so Square isn't looking for younger voices. Which finally brings us to fan speculation number 5. The voice actors didn't want to be in the remake anymore. The Legacy voice cast wants to be in the remake. It isn't a question of if they want to be a part of it. They actually do, and have said so, and why not? They have spent more than 14 years, and in Steve Burton's case 17 years, voicing and transforming these characters into what fans fell in love with. We have Newbern, Flynn, Steve Bloom, and Crispin Freeman vocally stating they want to come back. As for Burton, he was clearly shocked at the matter, so shocked that he actually removed Cloud Strife from his profile and created a classy video passing off his character of Cloud Strife. And even then, he was still visibly distressed throughout the video. And also, Burton even voiced Cloud in the 2015 PlayStation Experience trailer, so he was clearly on board with the project. So why is it that only the English version is getting this celebrity voice lift? What about the fans that found and fell in love with the series because of the same voice actors? Those fans are being disregarded, along with the voice actors who clearly love, adore, and understand these characters. A Legacy voice actor DLC will be the best way to respect the original voice actors and the new ones, while incorporating and including all fans, both old and new, into the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because these are the characters we all know and love. Well, that's it for this video. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can get updates when we release new videos. Also, make sure to check out the DLC petition and sign and share. Alright, this is Highwind, over and out.